it all seems like a blur because it happened so fast. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, it's real. Hi friends, it's Allie. I am back and I have very awesome news to tell you guys. I just passed my road test this morning. I officially now have my license. So before, when I made that video talking about how I didn't have a license and I said how I was 22 and I don't have a license, well now I am almost 28 in a week and I have my license. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of myself. So today I want to kind of talk about my journey with getting my license. I won't make it a very long video, but I do want to just talk to you guys and let you know what's going on. So, beginning of this year, I really decided it was time to get my license because that was when me and Garrett weren't together and I was moving back home. And I was like, well, I've been relying on Garrett for my entire life, like the past 7, almost 8 years. It's time for me to learn how to rely on myself. So I started trying to drive again when I was still down here in March, and then I moved up north in April and I drove with my family. Like I said in my last one, I drove with my mom for the most part, and a couple other people helped me, but mainly it was my mom. And then when Garrett and I got back together in July, I want to say June or July, we were long distance until I moved back in August, and then I had to renew my permit again for the 4th time, if not the 5th time, to be honest, because they only last 6 months. And I know a lot of people are like, that's plenty of time. Well, circumstances are everything, and if you're not in the best circumstances, or you can't drive often, you can't get the practice you need often enough, then your permit expires. And it really does go by like that. A lot of the times I was thinking I have plenty of time. No, it goes by like that. So renewed it in August, and then I took my first road test in November, which it's still November, but the beginning of this month. And I failed parking. I could not parallel park. It was just awful. And so I practiced more and I almost failed parking again this time. But at the very last chance, I did it. And so she got in the car and she's like, all right, you did it. Like, let's go out on the road now. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like, I audibly released my anxiety and I was like, oh, thank you. So we went out on the road and she was very nice and she was very understanding and calm. There was a few things that I kind of messed up on, but you know, she just told me like to redirect, gave me some tips. She even talked to me about just everyday things like the weather or like the trees changing colors. She asked me about where I lived or like where I went to school. Beginning of the test, I did let her know that I have a stutter, because if I were to have to answer questions and my responses were delayed or it seemed like I didn't know what I was doing or that I was extra nervous, it's because I have a stutter. And so he was like, that's fine, I have a stutter too, don't you worry. So we bonded over that, and that definitely started off my test on a good note. And then yeah, I just went through and did my test, and it all seems like a blur because it happened so fast. I did go on the highway a little bit. It wasn't terrible. It was maybe a couple times that I went on the highway. It was perfectly fine. And she said that I did great with like my lane changes. I did great entering and exiting the highway. She commented on a couple things that I could improve on. Yeah, but she overall was like, hey, like this was a great start to my morning. Like you did great. I think out of either 25 or 30 errors that you can make on your whole test, I got 12 marked off. I'm not sure if that was with parking as well, because you're allowed to get 6 mark-offs from parking, and I got all 6 because parallel parking is stressful, to be honest. But I got 12 mark-offs, and it was just for very, very small, minor things, you know, keeping my speed, my lane changes, they were fine. I'm editing my video right now, and I have to be quiet because it's like 8 o'clock in the morning and Garrett is still asleep. Also, like, my little Christmas tree. Christmas tree. I forgot to mention too, there was one point on my test when I was coming off the highway and then I just came onto a regular road and I had a stop sign. I had a truck behind me that was just real impatient and he honked at me. But they say you're supposed to stop. Make sure you fully stop at a stop sign, look both ways, and then you can go. I wasn't even stopped at that stop sign for a second and he was already honking at me. So my examiner was like, you're fine, you can go, like there's no one coming. She's like, he obviously was in a rush. And I'm like, yeah, apparently. I am really proud of myself because this is something I never thought I would be able to do, never thought I could do. I put so much anxiety and stress on myself, and I just didn't feel good about myself for a long time because I didn't have my license. I felt like I was behind everyone. I felt that I was a fuck up, to be honest. It's really helped having people ingrain it in my head that it doesn't matter how old you are or how long it takes you to achieve a task, you can do it. And as long as you hit that end goal, and even if you just mess up along the way, it's fine. Yeah, I'm really proud of myself. I honestly thought I would have had to renew it again because my permit now expires in February, but thankfully I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about it expiring. I don't have to worry about having to go take the written exam anymore because that was also stressful in and of itself. When you are 18 or over, you don't have to go through driver's ed. You can just go to your Secretary of State, take a written exam, just ask you a bunch of questions about like the laws of the road, ask you questions about what like street signs are and what they do, and you're allowed to get, I don't know how many questions wrong, but I came very close to failing those tests a couple times just because I have test anxiety and I just overthink everything. Okay, girls, are you proud of mamas? I got my license, I did it, woo, I did it, woo. What do you want to do a thumbnail? Hold on. What's this? Good job. So yeah, you do that, and then you're given a permit that allows you to drive with a licensed driver up to 6 months. So that's what I did. I drove with my mom and then Garrett, and I drove with a couple other people, but mainly my mom and Garrett, like I said in my last video. And yeah, here we are. I really pushed myself to drive. Like anytime me and Garrett had to go anywhere, I would drive instead of him, and that really helped me a lot, you know. And I also watched a lot of road test videos on YouTube. There's this one channel called Road Test Success that has a ton of road tests, and that actually helped a lot. And the number one thing that really helped me personally was to know that the examiner has like a score sheet that they're going to be marking off. Just because they're marking off things doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's just things that they have to mark off, like how many intersections did you go through? Did you stop at a red light at those intersections? Did you turn left or right? You know, just things like that, you know. So they're not automatically marking you down. It's just to show how you did, you know. And overall, I'm just really proud of myself. I told Garrett, I'm like, oh my God, I can finally breathe. I said, I'm gonna sleep so good tonight. Because for the past month, it's been awful. Like, my anxiety has just been keeping me up all night, so I don't really know where to go from here. Also, what I forgot to mention too is I don't have to go back to the Secretary of State. I can just wait for my license to come in the mail. This last time when I got my permit renewed in August, they take your picture there so that when you do pass, then they just send your road test results off to wherever you're from, like the state of like Michigan or wherever, you know, because I live in Michigan, and they let them know that you passed, and then the picture that they have on file for you, like the most recent picture, they'll enter that all in and you'll get your license, I'm guessing, in the mail probably within like 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm so excited, and I owe a lot of thanks to my Garrett Bean. Even when we weren't together in February and March, he still helped me, and not many people would have done that. I don't know of really anybody who would have still helped their ex-girlfriend do that. And we still obviously loved each other. We remained in contact, and then we got back together, and I still owe a lot of thanks to him, and I owe a lot of thanks to everybody else who helped me. Even when I was like younger and had such just terrible anxiety and just a lot of lack of confidence and misunderstanding of the roads in general, it all helped. Even though it took me 10 years to get my license, I still did it. I also have to remind myself that I went through a lot in those 10 years. I went through so much trauma and change and abuse. That really affects you too, you know? How can you sit there and be calm trying to drive when you're in fight or flight mode? That's not safe. I'm really happy to also just be in a safe and calm environment to allow myself to be okay with doing this. And yeah, like I said, Garrett's car is so much easier for me to drive. It's not a big ass SUV. It still hasn't fully hit me. I think it will once I actually get my license, like my card, like my driver's license actually in the mail. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, it's real. I guess the biggest thing to take away is, does not matter how long it takes you to achieve a goal, does not matter how old you are, keep trying and you will succeed. Thank you guys so much for coming to my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it kind of helped you if you're struggling with trying to get your license. Don't worry, you will. Even if it takes you another 5 years, you'll do it. Just make sure to practice with people that make you comfortable, that you know will help you, who will guide you. If you're just driving with some random Joe Schmo, that might not be that helpful, but drive with someone like mom or dad, a significant other, even if you have like a friend that you trust, just drive with them. But okay, I think that's all for today. I will see you guys in my next video, whatever that may be, and talk to you later. Bye.